What's going on, everybody? It is the Maximus Kane, or just Maximus Kane, whichever way you want to go. I told you I'd be doing more videos on Starfield, and I'm here for a specific reason. If you saw the thumbnail, it talks about, it just says Starfield, who's the real first Starborn, and we're going to talk a little bit about the expansion that's coming out, and I also want to hear your particular ideas on what you believe the expansion is, and also what are you hoping to see, and who you believe the first Starborn is. So we're gonna move along, and first we're here on Earth as we have to go through the story, and we're starting to learn about different things here on how the grav drive was created. And we start looking through the access logs. We start hearing things from, voice messages left, voice logs left from Dr. Etienne. And the one that seems the most important to me is from Victor Isa himself. Now, Starfield's been out. By the time this expansion comes out, Starfield would have probably been out for a year by then, because the expansion is not rumored to come out until later this year. But let's tackle the first thing. Who do you believe is the first Starborn? In my opinion, I believe the first Starborn is Victor Isa, and the reason I believe that, we're going to hear later when in this video I'll let it go. You'll hear his little confession of his plea for redemption, so to speak, and forgiveness for keeping everybody in the dark. So we'll hear that, and then I'm going to give you my perspective on why I think he is the first Starborn, and then I'll give you my ideas on the Shattered Space expansion. And since we are now, as of this recording, less than 24 hours away from the Xbox showcase, what the rumors are in terms of what to expect during the showcase. So we can go through that, and then I definitely want to hear your ideas before the showcase, and then after the showcase also. I want to know, did it live to your expectations? Did they do what you were hoping that they did? Did they tell you enough information? Did they show what you wanted them to show? Because we've been waiting a while. Now, the last update was a refresher. It really was, to be able to go and change the way you look, which I didn't do. I didn't change the way I looked, but change what kind of person and traits you have, and then of course decorating the ships. Hopefully, one of the things that we see this time is an announcement for land vehicles, so that we can drive through stuff instead of running everywhere. And then hopefully we get confirmation that we'll be able to make some space stations, not just create our ships and decorate those ships. But we have a lot. Now, I'm not going to try to make this video too long, because I don't want it to be that long. But I do want to touch on first a few things on my ideas on who the first Starborn is, which we're going to do right now. Because there's one specific thing that I think we need to listen to in order to explore exactly what is happening. So let's take a little listen to Dr. Victor Isa.
My name is Dr. Victor Isa. And if you're listening to this, then you probably already know the truth. I was young when I first headed the retrieval team of an odd gravitational anomaly on Mars. But I kept what really happened that day hidden from everyone except one other person. Even she didn't believe me at first. But I have no reason to lie to anyone now, so I hope you'll accept this confession, whoever you are. When I touched the anomaly, I experienced 12 days of lost time. I met myself. He told me everything that has since come true. The grav drive equations, the tests on the moon, Earth's atmosphere sputtering away because of what we had done. But he also told me about a city thriving on a planet orbiting a distant star. Human culture, art, music, lifestyles evolving and shining brightly across all of space. What price would I be willing to pay for that future? Maybe you don't believe me. Maybe Judith was right and I'm just a coward who wants to believe his mistakes were justified. But everyone has forgotten about the real origins of the grav drive, this artifact from Mars. I hope you make better use of it than I did.
So in Victor Isa's apology letter, he said that he lost 12 days. He had 12 days of lost time. He met himself, and supposedly, assumingly that person that he met himself gave him the correct equations to help create the grav drive, and he told him about what was going to happen in the future in terms of a city and all this stuff you heard in the apology letter. So my question is, did he meet somebody from a different universe, according to the way Starfield goes, that we go into another universe? Or did he meet a future, version of himself? Now, my theory, if I was writing this, and I've been writing since I was 7 years old, and I am now 50, so I've been writing for over 40 years. And if I was writing this is the way I would do it. I believe that Victor Isa, it's relative in terms of like what you see in movies, where you can travel in time, but certain things does change everything, but there are certain things that just don't change. A lot of scientists believe that, not many, but about half of the scientific community believe that time is linear, which means that there's a straight line and you can move between that straight line, forward and backwards. And any deviation from that forward and backward line would make you have perhaps a deviation in terms of another timeline breaking off. What I believe, now those are scientists. I am not a scientist in that term. But Albert Einstein believed that time was circular or curved in a way, where time is all relative to your own perspective. The scientists who believe that time is linear, they believe that going back in time could be possible one day, but not future, not going into the future. Well, if you go back in time, let's say they're able to find time travel to be able to go back in time, how the hell would they know if they went forward? Would they be able to go back to where they came from? So, just follow me here real quick. So I believe that there was an accident when they were creating the grav drive. An accident that changed space and time. An accident that was a big mistake and destroyed a lot of what we see in terms of what is left on Earth. Not to mention, yeah, we do see remnants of what could happen to Earth because of everything that's being done today in terms of global change, climate change, things like that. However, I believe there was an accident that may have killed a lot of people, but did something to Dr. Isa where he was able to go back in time, correct the mistake in terms of the equation, give it to himself so that they can create the grav drive correctly. And I believe he did this in terms of not just correcting the mistake, but in hopes of correcting the mistake and being able to return back to who he was before. Now, in some science fiction stories, things like that, people can change things that have happened, but some people get stuck in between space and time. So you'll see some scientific things where, in science fiction things where the person's able to move through time, but the problem is they can change things, but they can't get out of whatever situation they're in. So I believe that if I was writing this, the thing for me would be Victor Isa was caught in an explosion. He was able to go back in time, tell himself how to fix the problem, hoping that it would return him back to who he used to be. And unfortunately, even though they were able to correct the problem in terms of the grav drive, he was still stuck as he was. It fixed the problem, but Victor Isa still disappeared. I believe Victor Isa is the first Starborn. I believe that the accident, because if you listen to if you go through the rest of that part on Earth, he does say that the grav drive actually brings space closer to them as they travel, as opposed to you going closer to whatever object you're going for. And we can see that in the grav jumps. We see it looks like we're going to this grav jump and we're moving towards whatever we set a course for. But in one of his letters, he says the possibility of making an object come closer to us seemed even more relevant. It seemed even more possible with the grav drive. So I think there was an explosion. He was able to fix the problem to get the grav drive to give himself the right equation to fix the grav drive, but not able to put himself back to the way he was. So I also believe the grav drive is the one who gave him these miraculous powers that we see our characters have. And I believe that the person that you speak to at the end, whoever they are, that person is really Victor Isa, and he puts an illusion of himself to be you. He tells you at the end, and again, there's only one ending to the story. There are multiple beginnings. There's only one end. You always end at the unity. And he tells you what happens in the future with, Terramorphs and how, Constellation moves forward. Well, is he telling the future or is he in a different universe? I mean, he tells you welcome home Starborn, but and what if everything that you go through is an illusion? Because you have to understand, there is no multiple endings to the story. There are multiple beginnings. There's a reset when you walk through the unity. There is a reset in terms of what happens to you, where you wake up in the exact same place where you started the game, and then you have to go back to Constellation, and then a number of different things could happen. But what if this kid is just like a kid with a giant magnifying glass? When I was a kid, as cruel as it was, people would trap ants under a jar and use a magnifying glass to project sun rays right onto them to watch them suffer. Now, those are sadistic people. I never did that because I don't like bugs or anything like that. Pests, that's just a phobia I've had. So while people were doing that, I was doing other stuff. And then as I got older, I became a criminal for a little while. Never got convicted or anything like that. Never got charged with a crime. I'm not going to say I never got arrested because that would be a lie. But then as I got older, I ended up fixing myself up, going to high school, going to college, going to grad school, whatever. So that's who I believe the first Starborn is. I believe Victor Eyes is behind everything. And if he had these powers, then what if he became so powerful that he decided he's the only Starborn? Some people believe that the first Starborn is the emissary. Well, if Victor Isa, in my opinion, is the first Starborn, what if he realized since he can't go back to his old life, then he needs to create people who could be in the same life that he's in. So create something that would make him not be the only one and not be alone. So hence enter the emissary, the hunter, and so many others. And I think he's like a giant kid watching and observing how people act and then deciding what he's going to do as they come back and see how they react to something different. But that's just my opinion. Now let's talk about the showcase. We are less than 24 hours from the showcase. And according to Christine Miller of Game Rant, she states that Starfield is rumored to reveal the release date and a trailer for Shattered Space and other details tomorrow at between 1 o'clock and whatever time, the 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and whenever the showcase ends. She believes, and some people do believe, that the DLCs will feature the House of Varun, and that bothers me the way they spell it. But I mean, they spell it that way because it is, but it's, I've said this in a previous video, Varun is an ancient Mesopotamian word that means truth. And she believes that it's going to be a moving of the narrative of the mysteries, mysterious corners of Starfield's lore. Those are her exact words. However, some people don't believe so. Some speculate that it is going to be about the House of Varun, but others believe that it's going to be an offering to explore the history of Earth and how we got to where we are now. A glimpse into the past of the game's universe. Now, me, personally, myself, I don't want it to be about the House of Varun because I don't give a damn shit about the House of Varun. I can't stand the whole time where you have to go to the House of Varun's, embassy and grab that information so you can go to Armistice. I don't like Andrea and her beliefs of the House Varun. I try and skip that after I've done it a couple times. I'm not interested. The only thing I'm interested in terms of the House of Varun is the ability to be able to where their planet is in Serpentis is the best place to put on one of the moons, a good place to put your outpost, because you're almost going to get attacked every single time you go into orbit. But I really hope it's not. I really hope it isn't. If it's going to be about the past and how we got there, great. I hope then, that's fine for me. I would like to see a mixture between how we got to where we are and how we're going to get past what we've been doing already. And why I say how we're going to get past what we're doing already is obviously we come to the same ending every single time. We go through the Unity, we're reincarnated again, and even if people believe that there's different, universes out there, what if this is just guy that's lost his mind and is obsessed with his power now. He's lost his mind and decided that the best thing is to screw around with people because he got screwed over, so he might as well just have as much fun as possible because he can't do anything else. At the end, he says, you know, what will you be? Who will you be in the next universe? I don't know. And then think throughout the entire story. The emissary and the hunter are looking for you once you start looking for the artifacts. Who created the artifacts? Who created the temples? All this time and nobody's found them or heard of anything until you got there. And what happens in terms of everything like that? Who created that? What happened to Victor Isa? We don't hear anything else from anybody after that last message. And perhaps, just perhaps, see, this is another thing. They do have that last message from Victor Isa, but then you find one of the artifacts at NASA on Earth. How the hell did you find that on Earth in what seemed to be a relatively intact NASA when that was supposedly the epicenter of where we took off in terms of the people in the game that took off and went into a different place? And we found a different world and a different galaxy to go to. How did that happen? Why is NASA not destroyed? Everything else was. If we took off from NASA and we had all these people that were in these ships that were able to survive and go to another planet, why? Why were we able to? And in addition, you have other Starborn that are trying to go after you, and at the same time these other Starborn are trying to find a way out. In my opinion, I think they believe that if they find the artifacts first, then maybe they can go back to their own lives. And I don't mean their own lives in terms of another universe, because again, I don't believe there's another universe. I think they believe if they're able to go through time to grab these artifacts and gain the powers that you have, because they have some powers, obviously. But if they grab all the artifacts, then maybe that's a way for them to go back to the life they used to have. And the life they used to have could be something that was, you know, in my opinion, a different time. You know, people maybe from our time that we are now would rather have themselves, you know, get caught in a blast or whatever destroys Earth, or you know, a different time before the time period that we're in this game, to go into a different part of their lives in that time, in that time space between the creation of the grav drive and where we are in this game. Now, regardless whether it's about the House of House Varun, or, you know, a glimpse into the past so we can see where we are in the future and where we're going to be headed after this. Obviously, I'm going to play it. Obviously, I'm going to not just play it, I'm obviously going to also do a video on it. And I'm sure I won't be the first. I'll try and, you know, be the first to give as much information as possible. And in my last video regarding Fallout, you know, I've said if I make a mistake, you know, I'll let you guys know. You guys who have watched my Starfield videos know if I make a mistake, I go back and I repeat, and I don't go and write in the comment section. I make another video and let you guys know this is where I screwed up. This was my mistake. Let me tell you what I did wrong and let's fix it. And a lot of people don't do that, but I'd rather be more honest instead of giving you the wrong information. And if I gave you the wrong information, I have to give you the right information. So this is all my speculation on what Shattered Space is going to be. But I guess we're going to have to just wait and find out. The emissary and the hunter always know what's going to happen, but they only know what's going to happen when it comes to you and where the fight ends. You know, if you convince the hunter and the emissary, who they themselves say they have multiple versions of in different universes, first of all, how the hell do they know? And then if you convince, let's just say you convince, not fight, let's just say you convince the hunter to just give up the artifact because you tell him there are other universes where you'll be able to kill him. You tell him that you've done this before and you've beaten them, and there are plenty of times where you can get killed again. The hunter says something very interesting. He says, I don't know about you guys, but I am getting a little tired and a little old for this. How does he know? If it's a different universe and he's going after this guy for the first time, if he's going after you, or, you know, how does he know that he's been tired? There's also the first meeting where you go on to the starship for the Starborn and you talk to the emissary, and they're the ones, the emissary and the hunter, they're the ones that tell you to come here to Earth. My question is, they say they know where everything ends. They tell you to go here to find the origins of the grav drive, but why the hell do they do that? And at the same time, you know, when you meet on their ship for the first time, he tells the emissary, oh, knock it off, you know, we've all traveled back and looked at our old lives before. Really, have you though? Have you looked at your old lives before? Because we know nothing about what their old lives were like. We don't know if they were even around. We don't know who they are. They changed the voices, like in this one, it's Andrea's voice is playing the emissary, only to later on be the same voice that we hear the first time we played through the game. And then I have another question for you. If Victor Eyes is the first Starborn, and he's the person you meet at the end, do you think he's one of these two people, the hunter or the emissary? Because somebody has to control the narrative of the game and the story that's going, and if it's not you, then if it's not you and he's not controlling these guys as puppets, could he be one of the people who are in those suits? So I guess we'll find out tomorrow, hopefully at the showcase, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully we do get some clarification on what Shattered Space is. Hopefully we do get an introduction on what we're going to have in terms of land travel. And hopefully we're going to get some information in terms of space station creation. Hopefully we also get a release date. And I would be super surprised, like extremely surprised, to the point of, holy crap, I'm going to stop watching the showcase if they show Shattered Space at the beginning, which I believe if they are going to show Shattered Space tomorrow, it'll be at the end. But is there a possibility of a shadow drop tomorrow of the expansion? I don't think so. I think that they're going to announce it's going to come out in September. But do you think there'll be a shadow drop? And if so, are you excited about it? Are you excited that there may be a shadow drop? Because some people are rumoring that it could be a shadow drop tomorrow. Or are you guys just excited about the expansion? Tell me what you think about my theory. I want to know your theories on who you think the first Starborn is, what you think and hope to see in terms of the expansion, and then I'll make a video after that, and then hopefully you can tell me what you believed. Well, if it had met your expectations, if the expansion is something that you hope for and you can't wait to play it, or you're still going to play it but you don't know if you're going to be happy or not because it's not the way you wanted to move forward. We'll just have to wait and see. But I will be watching tomorrow, and I will do a video after. I'm not going to stream it live, but I will do a video after, and we'll talk about it. Guys, do me a favor, as always. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next video.